creepy dream last night. I know what it was about because I've been a dream interpreter since I was a little kid. And I know exactly what it was. But it was an extraordinary dream. But I've been going through sugar withdrawals lately. Purposefully. Like, I've been doing it. It's deliberate. I've been doing it on purpose. I'm telling you. I think like over 40 years of replacing sugar for the love that I should have gotten in my life that I wasn't getting. The nurturing love, not narcissistic fake love. I got plenty of that. But, yeah, confirmation. And, like, I also kept tripping out on, like, why am I not able to, like, ooh, don't fucking run into me, please. Why am I not able to, like, control other aspects of my life? And I don't mean, like, control, but, like, give them to God and let Him control them. Sugar. I know, and it may seem like I'm kind of a hard ass about this, but I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. Confirmation. Because I understand what it's like to grow up. And instead of getting the kind of like deep, nurturing, caring love that we needed, we covered it up with candy bars and sodas, and maybe it was just comfort food, like, you know, mac and cheese or whatever. Like, I know that I saw my brother doing this. He comforted himself with food for years and alcohol, and it killed him. Like, it literally killed his body. And shame too. Shame, comfort, like fake comfort. And I've done the same thing. I mean, my teeth are ruined because of it, you know, like chronic mold exposure, chronic inflammation from eating gluten and sugar rotted my teeth right out of my head. Chronic thrush infections in my mouth, and confirmation. And my teeth are just, they're gone. They're gone. They're all gone. Which I'm not worried about, which sounds crazy, but when you believe in the promises of God, you know that He restores everything that was taken from you and better than you had before. And, so I rely on those promises. Like, I genuinely do. I'm completely outside of, religious belief sets. And yet I know for a fact, like, I don't have faith. I know that the promises of God they're solid. Like, when you can't believe in anything or anyone else, believe in God. Believe in the promises of God. Because what He says, He will do. These are the laws of the universe, like the law of cause and effect, the law of return. These are the laws, the foundational laws, the fundamental laws that make up our universe. And in many ways our multiverse, because most other places, not all, but they operate on these fundamental laws. And when you understand them and you work with them instead of fighting them or trying to bend their will, like bend God's will to your will, which is basically what like things like forcing manifestation and shit like that. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but I've only been able to manifest like very small things, and I've only been able to do it like here and there when I really wasn't trying, kind of thing, when it was like stuff that I really could have done without, or like, you know, I didn't really know that I wanted that or that I even needed it. But so even manifestation is like a forcing of God's will. And it doesn't work that way. And this is why so many people don't believe in God or don't trust God, is because they want something and they think they know what's best for them. They genuinely believe. 411 on the timer when I said that. They genuinely believe that they think they know what's best for themselves. And look, I've been there. I have enormous amounts of empathy for it. I've been there. And I also thought that, like, you know, eating sugar was like, you know, something that I wanted. It wasn't. It is. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not mad at sugar. I don't hate sugar. It's nothing like that. Sugar got me through a whole shit ton of narcissistic abuse, of abandonment, and all kinds of other shit. And sugar was there when nobody and nothing else was. True story. But I should say and sugar was also like a slower poison, which was like, I had to pick my poison, right? So I either picked the love from people that I knew I couldn't count on, And like, I didn't actually know that. I didn't actually know anything about narcissists until like the last 10 years of my life. Before that, I didn't even really know what a narcissist was. I knew about the legend or the myth of Narcissus, but I didn't know what a narcissist actually was in this realm, like in this reality. I didn't even know. Oh Jesus, there's something rotting in this neighborhood, and it's so bad. It smells like old poop. And I know that smell because I've been to Mexico and while it was raining. Ugh, and the sewer is back up. It's horrendous. But and it's like, we can know that we're self-soothing with sugar and comfort food, and like gluten is a thing for me because gluten feeds the bacteria that sugar produces. It's horrible. So it's like a cycle that just like, you're fucked coming and you're fucked going, and like, that's not my life. That's not my life. The Lord and God's word tells me that I am blessed in my comings in and blessed in my goings out. And so I kept thinking, well, why do I feel screwed coming or going? It's like, well, you need to stop screwing yourself, because the hardest thing to acknowledge when you're walking with God, when you're walking with the true Lord Jesus Christ in you, not some dude outside, no, you inside us, because the second coming of Christ is in us as us. I know everybody's sitting around waiting for a rapture. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen in the way that they think. It's never going to happen like that. God, what a beautiful day. And I know that that's like super disappointing for a lot of people, but it's also like the best news you could ever get. It's the second coming of Christ is in us as us. Like, there's no better news than that. But that self-soothing, it was like I picked the poison that was gonna poison me like more slowly, like not so abrupt poisoning. And I didn't know it at the time because like I said, I didn't really know what narcissists were. I didn't really understand anything about the psychology or dynamics of how a narcissistic relationship works. And then when I did, I thought, well, what am I even doing this for? And the truth is, I had to acknowledge, because the true Christ came in me as me, like came in through me as me, telling me, you're responsible for this though. That is not an easy pill to swallow, even if you sugarcoat it. It's just not. When you realize that and acknowledge that you are the one solely responsible for your own life, responsible for your poverty, it's not Satan. It's the Satan in you as you. It's your fallen thought programs. It's your resistance codes in your mind and in your heart that you haven't gotten into alignment, into resonance with the Christ in you as you yet. But once you do, and you see them for what they really are, and you start discarding them, and discarding the ones that you cannot integrate, because you can't integrate every single shadow. Some shadows, you just got to throw it out the second story window and start over. But integrating the shadows that you need, that you can integrate, because when we fight those things, when we fight the resistance, when we fight the so-called demons, when we fight the fallen programs within us, what we're doing is giving them more energy to harvest off of us when they've already taken so much. When you seek to integrate those ideas and look at them and say, you know what, how can I, like, instead of looking at sugar and go, oh, you horrible demon, you're terrible, you know, all you ever did was rot my teeth out and blah, blah, blah. But if I'm really being honest about that, that's not true. I chose that. I chose that demon. I chose that fallen program, and I followed it again and again and again in lieu of having a good program to follow. So when I look at it truthfully, I have to ask myself, did sugar really do me a disservice, or was it there for me when I didn't have anything or anyone else? And the better we are able to acknowledge these things and take responsibility for them and integrate them, the better and the more fully Christ is able to rise within us. Because without that acknowledgement, without taking that responsibility and giving it the due process that it needs to be integrated, and perhaps it needs to be discarded, perhaps it fully needs to be integrated, But like, I really had to sit down and actually have a conversation with sugar and be like, you know what? I'm not your slave anymore. And I'm so grateful that you were there for me when nobody else was. That you were sweet and generous, and I could come to you for a quick fix whenever I needed it. But I don't need you anymore. I don't need you to cover up how I feel. I'm good. Now I can feel the way that I feel and sit with it. And whether that's good or bad, or whether it feels good or bad is what I'm saying, is really beside the point. The fact of the matter is that when I'm able to sit with my true emotions and not run from them, not run to a sugar fix. And it wasn't like I was eating candy or sodas all the time, but even something as simple as like eating a muffin, or like a sugary muffin, or anything like that. It became like a Band-Aid on a broken leg. And then it was like I would sit and wonder why my life was not improving. And it was because I was using those things as a crutch. And I know that most people have food crutches. 11:11 on the timer. We have food crutches. We lean on things and we think it's okay. And maybe it is in that moment. But long term, it just destroys us. The less we acknowledge it, and once you acknowledge it, you have to do something about it. Otherwise, it just drives you nuts. But that acknowledging and then doing something about it has been a really amazingly powerful experience for me. And I know that I'm not the only one. I know that there's so many humans that are going through their spiritual awakening, and yet they haven't been able to give up gluten, or they haven't been able to give up sugar yet, because it was there for them, like it was there for me when they weren't getting the kind of nurturing, caring, accepting, true love that they needed from their parents, from the people in their school, from whoever gave them love. And I know how scary that can be.
Oh.
Confirmation.
Oh.
Excuse me. To give up something that feels like it was your only out. It feels like it was the only way for us to cope with how we felt, with how we were being treated, and with the fact that we knew we couldn't love ourselves yet. And I genuinely love myself. There are many areas of my life where I have improved tremendously. I mean, extraordinary improvement. And yet there were still things that I could not seem to make any headway in. My finances being one of them, like sticking to a budget, and just self-discipline, and like consistent, reliable self-discipline. And I think that money, I mean, as far as from my experience and what I've seen in my immediate environment, which is what I'm supposed to divine, what the Lord gives me the meanings for, confirmation, is that money and like finances and self-discipline are directly connected to our relationship with food and sugar specifically, but also gluten. Gluten and sugar seem to go hand in hand. Like they have a very close relationship. And like last night I wasn't having any sugar cravings, but last night I was able to put just 1 tablespoon of black strap molasses in my tea, because sometimes I experience really bad like sugar lows, not blood sugar, but like psychological and emotional lows at night. And I wanted to mitigate that a little bit because I have to sleep, I have to drive. I live in my car right now, so I have to drive, and that has to be safe for me and for Bella and for everybody else on the road. So I did that. But even then, it's like I know that I'm consuming sugar through the molasses, and yet at the same time it's very controlled. It's very like measured. Not just the actual molasses, but the way that I think about it is very strategic. It's not just like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna have some sugar. It's not like that at all. I know that I have to deal with this, and this. It's like an equation that I present to myself. Okay, I have to do A, B, C, and D, and I know that if I do Z over here, I can do all the other alphabet letters that I need to do in between. And it's very strategic. It's very conscious way of thinking about things. And when we offer our awareness in truth to ourselves and to the divine, that can be worked with. There are strategical ways, tactical ways to deal with our addictions, to deal with our cravings, to deal with our crutches that will actually serve us rather than tearing us down. And I know that I spoke with somebody not too long ago, and I talked to this person and she's a Christian. She calls herself a Christian, and she's in the church, and she's, very much like involved in all of that, the dogma of it. And when I told her that I know, and the Lord showed me this, like, this is what my higher self, this is what God showed me, was that more than half of the spiritual warfare that I had been experiencing for the last couple of years was because of what I was eating. She did not want to hear that. Because and I know how she feels, because I didn't really want to, I heard it, I understood what the Lord was telling me, but I did not want to acknowledge it as truth, because that meant that I was responsible for all of this spiritual warfare. Oh yeah. And I know that people don't want to hear that confirmation. And at the same time, don't you want the truth? The Bible tells us that that seek the truth, and the truth shall make you free. It doesn't say set you free. It says make you free. It makes you free. And the idea behind that is that it implies that we were never enslaved to begin with. To be made free is to have the realization that you were actually never a slave to begin with, that you were always free, and you just weren't seeing your freedom. I painted a picture many years ago, probably in my early 20s, of an angel, a male angel with wings, and he was sitting in a prison cell. And in front of him, and he was, very downcast countenance and everything, like his face was, really sad. 1711 on the timer. And in front of him, he only saw imprisonment. But behind him, I painted like the blue sky and the clouds coming through the stones of his prison cell. So it's like if he would just turn around and look at it from a different perspective, he would realize he was never in prison to begin with. Why I painted this picture eluded me for many years. And then finally it started coming up in my immediate, like my immediate environment, my mind, the Lord moving on my waters, which is my mind. And I was like, oh, ding, the light bulb went off, and I was like, oh yeah, I get it now, I get it. And that it spurred me to have a passion to do what's good for me, and I know that giving up sugar is good for me. I know that it is. And I don't feel like, not anymore. I don't feel like doing things that are good for me is somehow like, some kind of like backhanded punishment or something. It was like, it was too hard and too harsh to do what was good for me consistently and reliably, because I felt like I was already living like a hard life, and then the self-pity would sneak in, and then before I knew it, I would lose motivation to do what I wanted to do originally, because I would just tell myself, well, you can give yourself a break, and I would fall back on those crutches again and again. And it really wasn't about the sugar. It was really about the fallen thought process, the aka demons, so to speak, my shadows that I hadn't integrated, and I hadn't been able to, because I wouldn't be honest with myself and with God, with the Christ in me, about why I had been leaning on sugar, why I had been leaning on gluten and other kinds of comfort food, and how I didn't want to acknowledge that for so long. And then finally I was ready to acknowledge it, and I was ready to step outside of that prison that was really never a prison to begin with. What a trip God is. Such a trip. Totally weird. Amazing and weird. And I just, through making this channel, and I hope that this resonates with somebody. I hope that somebody hears this And it makes sense to them, and they go, oh, and their little light bulb goes off. Or maybe something else I said resonates with them, and they decide to go and investigate for themselves. Because I don't expect anyone to take my word for it. Go investigate yourself. This is always what I said when I was on talk radio too. Don't take my word for it. Go look for yourself. Look for yourself. That is the most powerful experience that any human being could ever have, is to look for themselves. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. This is how God lifts the veils on us, and so that we can see clearly and actually walk by faith and not by sight. Because there's a lot more to walking by faith than what the church would have you believe. A lot more to it. Anyhow, if this resonated with you at all, hit the like button, share, subscribe, comment. I love your comments. I love to respond to comments, have a conversation in the comments. That's great. If you want to donate to us to help continue our mission, so that we can help continue our mission a little more easily, I'll put my Cash App donation link in the description box of this video. Love, blessings, and compassion to everyone. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Peace be with you.